Let's go through variables in this video. A variable is a container. It's a storage location. It's a storage. We use it to keep data. So it's a memory location which has been given a name. And we can use it in our program to keep data for the program. So it's a container for storing program data. And the variables are associated with the data types. Or in other words, when you're talking of a variable in C++, a variable has to have these four things. A variable is going to have a name. We are going to give it a name in C++. And a variable is going to have a data type to say that container. Can that container be used to keep data of this type? So we specify the type of data that should be stored on that particular container. Can we use that container to keep data of type integers? Or can we use it to keep maybe data of type string like names or whatever? And the third thing, a variable should have an address. So each variable has got an address, but we are not going to look at address now until later when we'll be looking at pointers. But we should just know that a variable has got an address. Where exactly in the RAM or in the memory is this variable created? And a variable must have a value. So sometimes we can create a variable which is not given a value immediately, but the purpose of having variables is for us to store information or to store data, to store some value. So later we can put value in it. So we're going to look at how we can create variables and how we can put values and use those values in our program. Let's get started by showing you how we can declare, we call it declare, or how we can create. So let me just say how to create variables. This statement is just a comment. It's not a programming statement, so it will not be executed. So we can declare variables in C++ by specifying the data type. We have different data types, like we have integer, we have double, we have float, we have string, we have character or char. So all these are data types, and each data type has got a unique data. It can actually is associated actually with that data type, and therefore if we create any variable using any of those data types, it means we are going to limit what can be stored in that particular variable. So for example, if we say character, it means we want to use that container to just keep one thing, maybe a letter or any other character like a special symbol, a number, but it should be just one thing. So it can be one character. But if we want to keep more than one characters like a name, then we need to use the string. So string is for keeping things like sentence or a name or something like that. But if we want to keep numbers, we can use double or float. And double float, we use it to keep numbers that have got decimal places like fractions. But if we wanted to keep to use it for keeping integers or whole numbers, we use int. So let's get started by creating a variable, maybe x. So by writing it like this, it means this statement is creating a variable with the name x, and it has been declared to be a variable that can only keep integers. So after the variable is created, you can give it a value, and we use what we call assignment statement. We can give it a value. Like in this case, we are saying the variable that has been created. So first of all is to create it. Then afterwards, we can have statements that should use it. So we are giving it a value 20. So this statement is read as 20 is assigned to variable x. So we are assigning. It's not equality statement. It's an assignment statement. This statement is not equal to 20x. No, we don't write it this way. The variable must appear on the left hand side like this. After the variable is assigned a value, that variable can be used. We can use maybe that variable, we can use it in the output statement to display it out, or we can use it in some calculations. In our case, we just display the value. So if I write it like that, it means I want the value to be displayed. So let's try to compile our program and run our program. So we can say I have 20 here. That 20 is coming from this statement cout. If this statement cout is not there, and I compile my program, I will not have anything because there is no cout statement in my program. So we use the cout statement to display things. But here there's one important thing that we should take note of. This cout statement, we are not writing it like this. We are not writing our x in quotes. Anything that you write in quotes will be displayed as is. So if I can compile and run this program, this is what I'm getting. It's not what I wanted. I wanted a value in x. Therefore, if we put x in quotes, it means we want x to be displayed. But if you want a value that is in x, then we should not put it in quotes. So when you are displaying it, we just write it as it is. So this is going to display value that is in x. So if there are two items that we want to join as before, it's a cout statement, we can join here. For example, maybe we want to say the first part to say value of x, then maybe colon, then we can join it with the actual value like that. So here we have two items. The first part, we want it to display value of x colon, and another part, we want it to display what is in x. So if I compile it, so we are going to get value of x colon 20. So we have used the cout statement to actually achieve that by joining two items, the first item and the second item. The first item is a literal value which is in double quotes, and the second item is just a variable. So take note, variables are not put in double quotes when you want to display them. Okay, and as I said, integers have got a way of only keeping integer values. So if we have declared the integer there and we try to put 20.5, compile our program, run our program, we are not going to get 20.5, but only 20. This is because our container has been declared to only keep or hold values that are whole numbers. So this part is going to be taken out. We don't take them to the nearest number. They are just truncated. We just discard them. But if we want this variable to be able to keep numbers of this nature, then here we can use the float, or we can use the double. So n of this should work. I can compile, I can run, then I'll have my 20.5. So it should be so careful of the data type that you are using. Okay, and if we have, for example, a variable that is to keep values or such as names, then we can use something like a string. Maybe before I go there, sometimes you can declare a variable and immediately you can assign a value. So in one line, like what I have done here, declared, assigned. So this is also accepted. When you create it, immediately you can give it a value. So that one also works. If you want to use other data types like string, maybe to keep names, we can say name, and maybe you give a name, in this case maybe Umali. So this is a variable name, and it's going to be only storing data of type string. So if I put name, or it might be a password, maybe combination of names, numbers, whatever, that will be okay. So I can display it here. Let me put an arrow here, and let me put it here to say the value of name is name. So the first one is displaying the value of x, and another one is displaying the value of name. I can compile and run it. So the value of name is Umali, and the value of x is 20.5. So that's cool. We are able to use variables. We are able to create a container. We are able to put the values in that particular container using assignment statements, or what we call assignments. And we are able to assign, and we are able to display it or to use it in some way. Okay. So this marks the end of how to use variables. We are going to combine them with other concepts as we go, but for now, I think we stop there. See you in the next video.